Absolutely, what I've been doing tonight, finishing the planning and development. I absolutely anticipate this is going to be a long discussion.
Fatal words, Chair. Fatal words.
And be wearing his disco shirt ready to go straight out afterwards. We have apologies from Councillor Fowler, from Councillor Jens, who's substituted by Councillor Simmons, Councillor Dervix, who's allegedly substituted by an ordinary member of the board, Councillor Phillips.
I'll be disappointed if you didn't have one without me now.
I'm not happy to note the.
Yes, Chair.
We all know the evacuation procedure, unless you'd like me to read it out again. All happy with that?
Take it as read, Chair.
Any disposable, pecuniary, non-pecuniary or other interests? Planning applications. So the only application for tonight is number 180 for the Atherstone Leisure Centre, which I've always assured was the North Warwickshire Leisure Centre in Atherstone. Anything to add to your report, Mr. Collins?
Nothing to add other than the recommendation.
Back to you.
Several councillors have read the report, and I would move the recommendation that accepted.
Councillor Hayfield first.
Two observations first, Chair. Did we ever look at trying to involve the clinic and the library in a large development on this side?
Yes.
So I'm wasn't here now. I don't know what being discussed at the top here. And secondly, do we still have design champions? And did they? But how on earth did these designs get past the design champion? It looks like an out of town, the sort of warehouse. I'll support the application. I think it's the right thing to do. My God, couldn't we come up with a better design than someone?
Yeah, put it in positive.
Councillor Hayfield, the design champions did have a say in it, and this is significantly better than the carbuncle we had first. I remember one opportunity, it looked like some sort of Stalin estate boxes, and that didn't get much past the executive board. So this is a material improvement on what it was to begin with. Anything to add on design?
There's been lots of iterations of it as we've gone along. I mean, really, we've got to look at this is a functional building, so it's always going to be utilitarian in terms of its shape. People have different tastes, I understand, in terms of design. Maybe it is. Some people like it and some people don't. I think we as officers, conservation officers, being included in it, we quite like the design and the way it's come through and tried to look on some of the historic fabric of Atherstone. So you've got the central archway there, and then the rhythmic sort of windows within the poolside elements, and then the veiled element here over the larger structure. I certainly like it as a design. Obviously, you've got to look at context of the area and what's there at the moment with the Memorial Hall, and as a replacement of that building and the leisure centre, I think it will be certainly a refreshing change and an uplift to the area, I believe. Hence the recommendation, really.
Well, I think you did a fine job of defending the design. But I would be very curious if you could point out the rhythmic windows.
It's these bits here, the openings.
The rhythmic openings.
Sorry, the rhythm of them. Sorry.
And got the presses.
Councillor Wattles, you better come in and say this.
I think it's like poetry. Just to say that we've spent many, how many, lots of hours, Margaret and team, perusing over this with the officers who have done a tremendous job, I have to say, all of them for all their input, working hard with all the different developers that we've whittled down different things. We've gone through every single bit with, lots of thought for the aesthetics, for the purposefulness, the flexibility of the building, everything in the details that we've been, I'm sure Margaret will agree as chair, to the fine tooth, some of it I didn't personally like, but obviously some of the majority I did, and I think that's a bit of, you're not going to please all the people all the time, but when they explain why and the functionalities of things, you kind of get it. So I think, with all of the work that's been done and the considerations, fitting in with what's around the area historically, I think we've done, well, the officers especially have done an amazing job. So I'd like to second the proposal. Thank you.
I think it was councillor Parsons and then councillor Hook.
Thank you, Chair. I have to say, yes, it's a functional building, and it's a functional building which requires large spaces. It's not Westminster Cathedral or whatever, but honestly, I don't think it's a bad design. It's going to have to do a job, and it's going to have to do a job for a lot of years. And it seems to me to be a pretty good design in all. I mean, obviously, Councillor Humphreys mentioned put it in Polesworth, and that'd be okay. But obviously, in Polesworth, we're looking for a better scheme than this at the end of the day.
A better scheme than that.
Absolutely. As I've said previously many times, decent dry run, but we'll get it right and play. Okay.
You want a flume, don't you?
Thank you.
Councillor Hook.
Like I said, I am going to vote for this because I think it's needed. And I understand the degree of haste in this because we want to get it done before local government review abolishes us. And in which case the chances of being able to build something this size in Addison would recede dramatically. And it is a functional building. Yes, I agree. It has to be a functional building, but it's also abutting a conservation area at Long Street with all its Georgian buildings down there. I mean, this I have to say, it looks like a design that it's been designed by a committee. I think that's the best I can say. It looks like a design. It's been designed by a committee.
I haven't been rude about the design champions, you're now being rude about the committee. Buttons.
Oh, I'm just disappointed this is the best we can do.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to ask a question about the recommendation because obviously it talks about permission is granted subject to county council's flooding not objecting. It's an existing it's the building that's going on an existing site where an existing building already sits. I'm curious about what's different that county flooding could object to.
Okay, if I answer. So with any sites, we're looking for betterment, although the buildings there, the existing attenuation of rainwater, there needs to be a betterment on site. Hence, there's an objection at the moment. It's a technical objection that's reasonably straightforward to overcome. But really, on any schemes, whether it's greenfield or brownfield sites such as this, there needs to be betterment. So there'll have to be attenuation tanks and then slowly taking any rainwater back into the system at a lower rate than exists. So unfortunately, it's a technical way forward, but I understand your point.
Yeah, that sounds like more cost to me, based on the current design and technical solution that we've already got a price tag on. So just nervous that it was saying permission provided they don't object, which we know they have objected. They're going to object. and we're going to have additional costs to rectify those objections.
Those are usual costs and any usual costs borne out by a developer. And that's the same in this instance. As North Warwickshire Borough Council, as the applicant, they should have to provide the same attenuation as any other private developer. So it does need to go through that same process.
Any other questions, members? I just have one. Oh, sorry, Councillor Humphrey.
I was just going to draw the attention of Councillor Hayfield to the fact that in the conservation area, it's going to be the front end of the car park, which at the moment is a big grey slab as the side of the memorial hall. So I don't actually see that we're going to be tracked from here to any of the conservation area, because the building is still set back where the existing swimming pool is, and we're going to lose the end of the memorial hall. So I don't believe the conservation area gets affected. In fact, I believe it gets improved. Thank you.
My question, Mr. Compson, is the Vale design now fixed? Because at various meetings, we were talking about options, different options, and as I remember, Councillor Ridley found a very nice three pattern. Are we sticking with the double diamond?
Double diamond is a beer, isn't it?
Yeah. Nestled diamond, apparently.
Can you explain what a double diamond is then?
That's
It's page 36 and 32.
I think that's a third. I think, if I may, Chair, when we discussed this before and the officers are sat over there, if it's too exclusive, if it ever gets damaged, getting it replaced is going to be more difficult currently.
Councillor Bell?
Yeah, just on that, that was part of the reason why they decided to have the original design on it, because also the ones, they looked at the areas that had done these tree designs and actually they wear very badly. They rust and they tend to need to be replaced more frequently than the design. It is back to the design that we had right at the beginning. I didn't know it was a double diamond, but it is.
Right. We've got a lot of diamonds in it. I can understand and appreciate that. Perhaps £27 million worth of public money, and I'd quite like it to be a building that we can be collectively proud of. There is an advantage in sometimes going the cheapest you can find. 27 million doesn't sound like that the cheapest you can find, but personally, I have some sympathy, shall we say, for what Councillor Hayfield's saying. I think it could be better. Members who are almost as old as me might remember when Warwick House was being built by the County Council, and the late Councillor Mott described it as looking like the carbuncle on the face of an old friend. I don't think it's quite that bad, but I'm not entirely sure it's the best design that could have been achieved. Councillor Ridley.
Thank you, Chair. Just briefly, there was a lot of to-ing and fro-ing about the bail, and certain things came out. So there's been an awful lot of work done on this. And I actually went to one of the consultation events that the officers held. It would have been nice. I don't know if Councillor Hayfield actually went to one of those council consultation events, because there was an opportunity there to discuss the design and various other things. But it was explained that it all came down to the cost basically, and what eventually the materials were going to be like. Because we did all like the tree, but the double diamonds, as you call it, I think it was going to be more practical and had more longevity in it, really. So effectively, that's where that decision making sort of went through. Thank you.
Any other questions, members, or comments? In which case, the application has been proposed and seconded for approval, and I see those in. Any against? In that case, that's carried. We now move on to the second application, which is number 284 for the North Warwickshire Leisure Complex in Atherstone. Mr. Collins.
Yeah, this second application is seeking prior approval to demolish the leisure centre. All we can really determine is the consideration is limited to the method of demolition and its restoration. County Highways haven't objected. Environmental Health, we haven't received their response, but the officers considered that the recommendation takes into account concerns and complies with the legislation. It's recommended that prior approval be granted.
So just a clarification question.
Yeah.
really, from me. I know on the previous item, we had a lot of conditions about demolition and contractors' conditions.
Yeah.
On this one, it seems to be saying that we've had what we need. Do we not need any more of those other conditions that were attached to the previous application? Because my concern really is noise disruption for local residents.
And that's been submitted with this application. So the method of demolition has been submitted. In terms of the previous application, that provides belt and braces to this same issue. So it is covered.
From memory, there wasn't going to be much export of materials. The demolition materials, I think, were going to be kept on site and reused to the extent it was possible.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, members, any comments, questions? Councillor John,
Move the recommendation.
thank you. Members, need a seconder?
I'll second it.
Sorry, mate. So it's been, any other comments or questions? They've been proposed and seconded for approval. Can I see those in favour? And that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Members, we will now, I hope, be moving swiftly on to the meeting of the LBF. But thank you very much for your attendance.
5 minute break in between to recharge coffee.
It's up to the chairman.
Surely.